a man called Brian Mazik, I believe you pronounced that surname, on the Forbes magazine website has written this particular article. And the headline reads, 5 bold predictions for boxing in 2019. And those 5 predictions are as follows. I encourage all of you to go and read this article in its entirety, but just to read out the predictions: Jarrett Hurd and Jermell Charlo will fight. Keith Thurman will lose at least one fight in 2019. Alexander Usyk will go 3-0. 2019 will be a huge year in the ring for Adrian Broner. And the final prediction, which is the main focus of this video, is his prediction that Anthony Joshua will lose in 2019, and it won't necessarily be to Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. Now, I'm not going to go as far as saying Joshua will lose in 2019, but I do believe Anthony Joshua is going to lose in sometime over the next couple years, and that it may well not be to Wilder or Fury, but somebody else. Now, we all get predictions wrong. We all get predictions right. And all to varying degrees. We've got a different ratio in terms of how many we get right versus how many we get wrong. But of all the predictions I've got right, the one that I'm most proud of is actually a series of predictions. But the one that I'm most proud of is my prediction for the direction of the heavyweight division. Because if you rewind back several years, I started saying that Vladimir Klitschko is going to be defeated by one of this new crop of heavyweight contenders coming through. Someone's going to get him. Now, in retrospect, to people listening today, that's going to sound like a unimpressive prediction. Oh, come on now. Vladimir was old. Of course, someone was going to beat him. But that's not what people were saying at the time. At the time, you go back and look at the YouTube videos when Klitschko was still champion. When he beat David A. and he beat Povetkin, and even up until when he beat, let's say, Kubrat Pulev, there were many people on my videos and maybe many people making their own videos and in the comment section of all kind of different videos on YouTube who are predicting that Vladimir Klitschko could go on for another 5 years and nobody's going to touch him. This is what loads of people were saying during that time when Klitschko was champion. There were people saying none of these young guys are going to beat Klitschko. He's going to destroy them all. I want to say at least 40, 50% of people on my videos were saying that at the time. And they'll say, nah, man, you're wrong. These young generation heavyweights are not good enough to beat Klitschko. But I was steadfast and consistent in saying, nope, one of these young guys is going to beat Klitschko. If he fights all these young heavyweights coming through, one of them is going to get him. I don't know which one, but one of them is going to get him. At least one of them. And the reason I was saying it is because I could see, even though other people couldn't, I'm not saying everybody, but a hell of a lot of other people couldn't see the fact that the Klitschko era was a weak era in terms of the contenders available. It was weak. I could see clearly that the level of talent coming through towards the end of the Klitschko era far surpassed the level of talent which had existed for the majority of the Klitschko era. You know, the likes of the Joshuas and Tyson Furies and Wilders and all these guys were way better, way more talented than most of the guys who had been contenders during the reign of the two Klitschko brothers. And because of that, I just felt like someone's going to get Vladimir, someone's going to get him. I kept saying this in video after video. I don't know who it's going to be, and I did not predict that it would be Tyson Fury specifically, but I always strongly felt that someone was going to get him sooner rather than later if he starts fighting all these young guys. That's what happened, okay? I also was predicting around the same time that we were entering a new golden age of heavyweight boxing. And I had a lot of pushback, a lot of people saying you're wrong. This is not a new golden age. None of these heavyweights would have lasted back in the days of Ali and, Lennox Lewis and so on and so forth. This is what I was getting from the majority of people. A lot of pushback, people telling me I'm wrong. But now people are starting to see it. Now people are starting to see we are in a new golden age of heavyweight boxing. And I predicted it before Tyson Fury was champion, before he beat Klitschko. I predicted it before Fury beat Klitschko. I predicted it before Joshua fought Klitschko. Before all that, I could see it because I could see the talent coming through, the hunger in these young fighters. It was different to what had been there during the majority of the Klitschko reign. It was just totally different. I could sense a whole changing in the energy of the heavyweight division coming before these guys reached title level, world title level. I could sense it. And another thing I've been predicting for several years is that this era, the new era, the post-Klitschko era, is not going to be like the Klitschko era where we have one monolithic champion, or in the case of Klitschko and his brother, two of them. At least for part of the Klitschko era, it was two champions. Then it was Vladimir as kind of like a monolithic champion, and Wilder wasn't really taken all that seriously for the most part when Klitschko was still number one. So I don't think this new era, I've been saying this for years, I don't think this new era is going to be like that. We're not going to have one guy who just dominates everybody. What we're going to have is a situation like we had in the 70s and a situation like we had in the 90s, the two previous golden eras of the heavyweight division, where it's going to be a game of, musical chairs, for lack of a better term, where it's going to be a round robin situation. That's what I was really looking for, not musical chairs. Forgive that metaphor, people. It's going to be a round robin situation where all of these guys are going to get beat. Joshua's going to get beat. Fury's going to get beat. And I'm talking about legitimate losses, not controversial losses and all that. No, all these guys are going to take proper losses. Joshua, Fury, Wilder, Miller, all of them. I can sense that in the atmosphere of the heavyweight division right now. So that's my next prediction. And I wouldn't be surprised if AJ is the first one to suffer a defeat, maybe a shock defeat. I wouldn't be surprised. But then again, the first person to hold an L could be Wilder or Fury if they have a rematch, right? It's unlikely to be a draw again. So when this guy predicts that Joshua could lose in 2019, I don't think it's a bad prediction. And again, I wouldn't necessarily say that he'd have to lose to Fury or Wilder. I think someone else out there, just like I predicted with Klitschko, I think someone else out there might get him. Yeah, because he's vulnerable. He is vulnerable. I agree with what Brian Mazik said, that Joshua's vulnerable, but not only is he vulnerable, so are the other heavyweights. They're all vulnerable. That's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it a golden era, actually, because they're all vulnerable. Tyson Fury was dropped twice in his last fight, was he not? Deontay Wilder barely scraped a draw in his last fight, did he not? They're all vulnerable. It's not only AJ, all of them. That's what makes it exciting, and that's what makes it unpredictable. So again, I can't tell you who's going to beat each one of these guys, but I strongly feel that they're all going to lose, and we're not going to have one champion who stands head and shoulders and just dominates everybody else. That's not what I see. And my latest prediction with regards to the direction of the heavyweight division and boxing in general is that right now, boxing is in a golden age, not just the heavyweight division, but boxing in terms of the fighters' purses and so on and so forth. In America, I do wish it was bigger than it is right now. But what I'm saying is fighters are getting paid a lot of money. Okay, world championship level fighters, a lot of them are getting paid nice money. The heavyweight division is lit right now, as the youngsters say. It's on fire. But I think we are going to go into a Great Depression after this current heavyweight era has come to an end. I think the whole of boxing is going to go into a Great Depression where boxing will lose a massive amount of popularity, where boxing will lose a massive amount of money, where boxing will be on a serious downslide. And one of the reasons I predict that is because obviously history repeats itself, but also because of this issue with boxing in the Olympics being in jeopardy. They're talking about boxing not featuring in the next Olympics. That is going to be a catastrophe for the amateur boxing program worldwide. That is going to mean what? Lottery funding for many boxing clubs potentially in the UK. This is government funding essentially, is going to be slashed. And you're going to see a lot of boxing clubs go under over the next few years. Well, let's say from 2020 on. You're going to see boxing clubs go under if there's no Olympic program. The Olympics has done a massive amount for boxing and amateur boxing and professional boxing in Britain because of all the success that Britain's had in amateur boxing over the past few years. From Audley Harrison on, really. You do have to big up Audley for paving the way. Let's be real. Let's give him some credit where it is actually due. Because without Audley winning that gold medal, there may not have been a James DeGale at the Olympics, a Billy Joe, etc., and Anthony Joshua, because the amateur program in the UK wouldn't have got the funding that it received if it wasn't for Audley winning the gold. As I say, with boxing in the Olympics in jeopardy, I'm predicting that there's going to be a major downturn in the fortunes of this sport after this current golden age is over. So, as I've said previously, you need to enjoy and appreciate this era of boxing while it's here, particularly the heavyweight division. Because this is a historically golden age, and in years to come, you'll look back and realize, oh, damn, actually, what that Hatman dude was saying on YouTube was actually true. It really was a golden age when you look back on it in retrospect. It was. Compare it to what we have now. In 2030 or whenever it is. It's nothing like it used to be back in the good old days. That's what most of you guys will be saying. I'm telling you. So, yeah, have a read of this article from Brian Mazik on Forbes magazine's website. You might want to have a look at the other predictions. I mean, I certainly hope that Hurd fights Charlo. Furman will lose a fight. I mean, potentially. We know he's been injury prone. Usyk not losing in 2019. You can imagine that because he's so flipping good. And Joshua taking a loss. I can see it. I'm not predicting it's going to happen in 2019 specifically because it all depends on who he fights. But I can see it. Yeah. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.